Hello again, fourth grade. Now we are going to talk about equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are fractions that are the same amount. We can show equivalent fractions on number lines, or we can use fraction strips, or we can use pictures. I'm going to start with number lines. I have two number lines here. Okay, this first one, I labeled 1/2 right there in the middle. On the second number line, this would also be 1/2. Right in the middle. Except the first number line, I divided into 4 parts. So that means it's into fourths. So I'm going to label this as 1/4. Right, that's 1/2, but we can also call it 2/4. Okay, this would be 3/4, and then 1 whole is going to be 4/4. Right, the second number line, you can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces. So this is eighths. So this would be 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. This would be 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. So right away you should be able to see where some of our numbers are lining up. Right here, 1/4 and 2/8 are both at the same point on the number line. That means that 1/4 and 2/8 are equivalent fractions. Okay, and then right here, all these fractions line up. Okay, 1/2, 2/4, 4/8. Those are all equivalent fractions because they are at the same point on the number line. And then here we have 3/4 and 6/8 are equivalent fractions because they are at the same point on the number line. So we can use number lines and we can use fraction strips. Okay, here I have, this is 1. We have to make sure we're using the same whole. So this is 1. This is representing 1. So 2/2 equals 1. And 3/3 equals 1. And 4/4 equals 1. And 6/6 equals 1. And 8/8 equals 1. So I just want to show you that all of these are coming out of the same whole. They're all taken from the same size. Okay, so that is our whole. So all of these fractions is 1 whole, 2/2, which is the same as 1 whole, 3/3, which is 1 whole, 4/4, which is 1 whole, 6/6, which is 1 whole, and 8/8, which is 1 whole. Now let's move these away and let's just take 1/2. And I want to see how many fourths there are in 1/2. So I'm going to take my fourth pieces and line them up, and I can see that 2/4 is exactly the same amount as 1/2. Now what if I wanted to see on sixths? I'd take my sixth pieces and I'd line them up, and I could see that 1/2 is exactly the same as 3/6, which is exactly the same as 2/4. So these are 3 equivalent fractions. 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6, which is equivalent to 2/4. Now suppose I want to take my sixths and compare them to thirds. There I have 1/3, and I want to see how many sixths there are in 1/3. So I line it up and I see that 2/6 equals 1/3. Now if I had 2/3, if 2/6 equals 1/3, I need 2 more sixths for another third. And that would make 4/6. So 4/6 equals 2/3.